Today, our topic is types of respiration in plant anatomy and plant physiology. Already you have studied the mitochondria where the ATP, that is the energy, is stored in the cell. That is, mitochondria is called the powerhouse of the cell, and the respiration, the part that is the main parts of the respiration, cellular respiration, takes place in mitochondria, and it stores the energy and releases the energy to do their function. So now we're going to see about the types of respiration. So types of respiration. So first, respiration means what? Exchange of gases. So exchange of gases, what? For what we have to live, not only the human beings, even the animals and the plants has to live. For them, they need oxygen. That oxygen is taken from the atmosphere. So, when taking the oxygen in, the carbon dioxide gas will be eliminated outside. So, that is called exchange of organism that takes place in all organisms. So, that is called, that is taking oxygen from outside and exhaling carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, outside world. That is called external respiration, and it is a physical process. So normally you are listening to the class, but you are breathing, but you are respiring. Okay, that respiring that you can feel or you may not feel. Even while sleeping also you are respiring. You will feel that. So you are sleeping. So that is a physical process. It takes place automatically. So it is a physical process, and cellular respiration is also there. In mitochondria, the cellular respiration takes place. Okay. So that is automatically going. Not only the lungs in human beings and animals, not only the lungs are taking part in the respiration, even the cells also taking part in respiration due to the presence of mitochondria. And that is in plants also the respiration takes place. For respiration in plants, the oxygen is necessary, and during respiration the plants also releases carbon dioxide like the animals and the human beings. Same process taking place in plants also. So there are two types of respiration: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration means oxygen is must for respiring. Okay, I had given the overall reaction here for aerobic respiration. Glucose, that is what we are taking. The food formed during photosynthesis is the carbohydrate. So glucose is a carbohydrate. C6H12O6 plus oxygen 6O2 plus gives. So when glucose is oxidized, that is oxidized means it is added with oxygen to give carbon dioxide, CO2 plus water plus ATP. That is the ATP is the energy. So in aerobic respiration, the energy, that is the food, carbohydrate food, is oxidized to give carbon dioxide and water plus ATP. So this process is called respiration. For this process oxygen is needed, so it is called aerobic respiration. So keep it in mind. Aerobic means presence of oxygen, air. Air should be there. That is, air means pure air. So for pure air, oxygen is needed. So one molecule of glucose is oxidized. Oxidized means oxygen is added with oxygen. Think like that. Okay. Glucose is added with oxygen, gives carbon dioxide plus water plus ATP. So the ATP is the energy. Okay. This is aerobic respiration. So the stages of aerobic respiration, there are 3 stages in your book, but normally they have given 4, but in your book they had given 3 stages: glycolysis, Krebs cycle, and ETC, that is electron transport chain. First, glycolysis means one molecule of glucose is converted into 2 molecules of pyruvic acid. So for this oxidation, the aerobic respiration process, you need 3 stages to complete. To get ATP, you need 3 stages. So the overall reaction is this. But to complete this reaction, you need three stages. That is, first stage is glycolysis. So in glycolysis, one molecule of glucose is converted to two molecules of pyruvic acid. Where this glycolysis takes place? The glycolysis takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell. So the glycolysis takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell. And this glycolysis takes place in aerobic and anaerobic respiration. This is the first step in both the respiration, aerobic and anaerobic. Okay. So if they ask about glycolysis means, just remember one molecule of glucose is converted to two molecules of pyruvic acid. Where it takes place? It takes place in cytoplasm of the cell, and it is the first step for aerobic and anaerobic respiration. And this was discovered by this glycolysis process was discovered by three scientists, Emden, Meyer, Parnas. So because of this, the glycolysis can be called as EMP pathway. This is not in your book, but I am just telling to know you. Krebs cycle. So till the glycolysis, that is in glycolysis, till the process of formation of pyruvic acid. When the pyruvic acid is formed, it enters into the mitochondria. Okay. So only the glycolysis process takes place in the cytoplasm. After pyruvic acid is formed, it enters into the mitochondria. So Krebs cycle, where it takes place? In mitochondria. Okay. Mitochondrial matrix. Now the two molecules of pyruvic acid enter into the mitochondria, as I say, no? So oxidation of pyruvic acid into carbon dioxide and water is called Krebs cycle. So the pyruvic acid is oxidized into carbon dioxide and water. So that is called Krebs cycle. And this Krebs cycle is also known as tricarboxylic acid cycle or TCA cycle. Why means the first product after, that is the pyruvic acid is going to convert to carbon dioxide and water, no? That time the first product, okay, first product is 3-carboxylic acid, that is 3 acid group, COOH group. So because of that you get 3 acid group, organic acid group. Because of that the Krebs cycle can be known as TCA cycle or tricarboxylic acid cycle. So Krebs cycle starts in, where it starts? In the mitochondria. When the pyruvic acid enters into the mitochondria, what happened? The pyruvic acid is oxidized to form carbon dioxide and water. So it is also known as TCA cycle or tricarboxylic acid cycle. Next, electron transport chain. So the system of electron carrier complex is called electron transport chain. So these electrons carries and during the electron release, that is during the electron transfer, not release, during the electron transfer, the carriers are carrying the electrons. During the transfer, the energy is released. That energy is stored as ATP. Okay, this where it takes place, this electron transport, the inner membrane of the mitochondria. So the inner membrane of the mitochondria contains cristae and it has F1 particles also. There only the ATP was synthesized and stored. And the electron carriers are NADH2 and FADH2. These and all you got from the glycolysis and Krebs cycle steps, and they are oxidized to NAD plus and FAD plus. That time the energy is released and stored as ATP. Okay, the ATP releases the energy during the oxidation process. So that time the ATP is released, that is synthesized. So the energy is released. So the electrons are carrying. While carrying and transferring the electrons to another electron carrier, there is an energy was synthesized. That energy is called ATP. That is, the energy is synthesized as ATP. That is called oxidative phosphorylation. During oxidation, that is NADP, NADH2 and FADH2 is oxidized to NAD and FAD. During that time, the energy is released. That energy is called ATP, which is called as oxidative phosphorylation. And the oxygen is the ultimate acceptor. So, and which get reduced from the water. So, that is H2CO2 plus H2O is formed, no? From that water, the oxygen is the acceptor molecule going, that is just the acceptor molecule to reduce the compounds like NADH2, FADH2. So, that time only the energy is ready. So, that where it takes place not from the carbon dioxide. From water, the oxygen is accepting accepting. Okay, so the oxygen is the acceptor molecule. It comes from the water. Okay, so aerobic respiration stages means you have to think about glycolysis and Krebs cycle and ETC chain, that is ETC, electron transport chain. Okay, so glycolysis takes place in the cytoplasm, mitochondria. In the mitochondria, Krebs cycle takes place, and this also mitochondria only, ETC also mitochondria only, but in the inner membranal of mitochondria, inner membrane of the mitochondria. Okay, so these stages, if they ask in 7 marks, right, discuss about the aerobic respiration, means you have to give the overall reaction and the stages, 3 stages. So first stage is the glycolysis, takes place in cytoplasm, and it converts, that is glucose is converted to molecules of pyruvic acid. Okay, the next step is the Krebs cycle. It takes place in mitochondrial matrix. The oxidation of pyruvic acid into carbon dioxide and water, TCA cycle or tricarboxylic cycle. Okay, next electron transport chain. So the electrons are carries. While carrying the electrons and transferring the electrons to another carrier, the energy is released. That energy was synthesized as ATP. So that is called oxidative phosphorylation. This they may ask in 2 marks. Oxidative phosphorylation is important question. And where this oxygen they are getting? They are getting from the water molecule. Okay, so now the oxygen is the acceptor molecule. And next we move on to anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration means the oxygen is present or absent. It won't take oxygen for respiration. Okay, and here the glucose is converted to carbon dioxide, ethanol or lactic acid. While that time the energy is released. See, here also the glucose is the product, that is carbohydrate. From the carbohydrate only the energy is going to get released, that is released and going to save. So what happened? The glucose reacts with the yeast, that enzyme is zymase, or with lactose, that is lactobacillus, the lactase enzyme. So what happened? Releases carbon dioxide plus ethanol and the energy ATP. So this process is called fermentation process. This is also called as anaerobic respiration. So think about what your mother will do for idli. He will make a flour. That flour contains, that is for tomorrow idli, she will be making today in she is putting in grinder and making the flour, and what happened, he will kept it for tomorrow only, not today. Why? For fermenting. So after, you can see while your mummy preparing the flour, the vessel contains only half. But the next day morning you see means it will come to the upper level due to the fermentation, and the bacteria present in your mother hand or in the environment, as we talk about, the bacteria is omnipresent. So due to that, the bacteria, the same way the lactase enzyme was seen in lactobacillus. So the lactase enzyme is seen in lactobacillus. When the milk is added with little bit of curd, it changes into, the entire milk changes into curd. So that is also one of the fermentation process. Fermentation means you get a sour taste. Okay, sour taste while eating. So that is called the fermentation. If there is no sour taste in your idlis and in the curd, it won't be nice. Okay. So that process, that is the anaerobic respiration, and normally the anaerobic respiration taken place in our curd and in flour, idli flour. So day to day life it is taking place. Okay. And this is the overall reaction for anaerobic respiration. Now respiratory quotient. It is also one of the important 2-mark question. So RQ, it is represented as RQ. So the ratio of volume of carbon dioxide liberated or evolved by the volume of oxygen consumed, that is called RQ. So this they may ask in 2 marks. For 2 marks, you can write only this formula, or you can write both the one. So if there are any some students who have difficulty to remember, means you can write this formula alone. So RQ is equal to volume of carbon dioxide liberated by volume of oxygen consumed. For example, I will giving this the first reaction, overall reaction. Here carbohydrates plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus water and ATP. So here how many oxygen they used? Used 6 oxygen. And here how many carbon dioxide had been liberated? 6. Okay. So keeping this in mind, I will show the formula. So now that volume of carbon dioxide liberated is 6 and volume of oxygen consumed is 6. So 6 is equal to 6, you cancel means 1. So the aerobic respiration of aerobic respiration of glucose RQ value is 1 because 6 carbon dioxide is liberated and 6 oxygen is consumed. So both are cancelled means you will get 1. So this is the RQ. And you can ask, in aerobic respiration, there is no oxygen consumed, only carbon dioxide liberated. For this, what you have means done. So the carbon dioxide is, how much they put? Carbon dioxide is 2. 2 by 0. So you will get the answer as infinity. So we don't know how much carbon dioxide is liberated, but how much oxygen is consumed we don't know, because they are not using the oxygen at all. So because of that your answer will be infinity. Okay. This is for just to understand. Only the formula is there. So they may ask in 2 mark, write the RQ or respiratory quotient, means you just remember the ratio of volume of carbon dioxide liberated by the volume of oxygen consumed, and you have to write the formula. RQ is equal to volume of carbon dioxide liberated by volume of oxygen consumed. Thank you for watching the video. If you like, give a thumbs up, share and subscribe to Science Easy Tech channel.